What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here from DataDash, and today is March 4th of 2024. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are, because in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin hitting new relative highs for this year at around 65K, right under the previous all-time highs of $69,000 back in 2021. I want to talk about why this is continuing to play out, but beyond that, and more importantly, I want to spend some time to talk about the trends in the altcoin market. A lot of people are wondering whether or not they should be going long meme coins now. I'm going to give you my candid take here, and more importantly, tell you guys about where I'm looking to build positions in the market, where I think we could see some sizable moves over the next few days. We got a lot to unpack here in today's video, so if you happen to enjoy it, consider dropping a like, and let's go ahead and kick things off. So I want to spend some time again to talk here a little bit about what we discussed on Friday. I know a lot of people were hoping for some kind of pullback here after the 3-day rally, but as we discussed on Friday's video, guys, the closer we get towards the previous all-time highs, more and more confidence is going to come in, at least historically speaking. That's not just in the case of Bitcoin, it's true in traditional markets in many cases, but beyond that as well, you've also got a real fundamental factor here, which is the inflows. Weekly inflows here for the total of all ETFs, right? We're not looking at the without GBTC numbers, even with the GBTC outflows that we had last week, 30,000 BTC purchased in the prior week. So this is, again, positive, solid numbers here for 5 market days where the market is open, U.S. equities, to get, in this case, 30,000 Bitcoin, or essentially 6,000 Bitcoin on average per day. That's really good numbers, and that does change the dynamic of price discovery for Bitcoin. If this continues to keep up here, it is much higher than what we had back here when we were averaging around 11,000 to 16,000, nearly more than double than what we were seeing back then, more than double during that period of time. Now, I want to go ahead here, as we kind of understand Bitcoin's moving up here, our focus has been on the altcoin sector. And a lot of people have been asking me over the last day or two, a whole plethora of different symbols and different meme coins, ask me whether or not I should be going long meme coins. And the thing about this is, guys, is that sure, meme coins can continue to surge up. I mean, if we take a look at Pepe here, since back here in February, it's made around a 730% move here. This is the time of recording. There are a whole range of other plays here. Bonk, a play we talked about quite heavily back here, looking for a test on the 100-day. We got that break above the 100-day, and along with that as well, the 21-day. There's your trade right there. It's been doing really well. Outside of that as well, you know, Shiba Inu, 2021 legacy play here, starting to kick up big time. So we're starting to see a lot of meme coins pop off. And a lot of people ask me, Nick, is this some new paradigm, or meme coins the narrative of this cycle? Should I go all in? Because the thing I want you guys to really keep in mind here is, while I'm not here to per se say that meme coins can't continue climbing higher, you don't want to buy into something that's already pumped like this. And more importantly, you don't want to buy into something that really doesn't have much of a strong fundamental narrative. Meme coins are very cyclical. What we are wanting to hopefully do here, if we are going to buy something more fundamental or long-term or based around narratives, I would focus more on Bitcoin infrastructure, DePIN, in this case, or decentralized physical infrastructure networks like Render Network, things like that you can hold for a couple months, and you don't need to get it at the right price exactly, but you can get it hopefully at a nice discount and ride the cycle higher. However, where I really think there are some momentum trade opportunities, which is really what meme coins are at the end of the day. I love it as much as the next person. I love momentum trades. Where I think there are some momentum trade opportunities are in some of the legacy plays that have existed. Now, we talked about storage as one of our plays back in a prior video, some of these legacy plays that have really nice chart history that we can extrapolate from. But beyond that as well, I think there's a sector of momentum trades that has really not popped off yet. And for me, I like that. I like to find these kind of low runners that you can see are starting day by day to build that momentum, but they're getting stronger single-digit returns and have the scale and room to really start, as we can see according to history, getting double-digit returns or even triple-digit returns in a week or two. So that's the kind of stuff that interests me, where I feel like I can not only make really great USD returns, but also outpace Bitcoin. If I can't outpace Bitcoin on a trade, I'm not really interested. I'd rather just be in Bitcoin, right? So the key thing here I wanted to point out, like for example, Stellar Lumens is one of those plays here. We've seen in the past that once this thing starts to move in a week or two, you can get really upper double-digit, triple-digit moves here. This is also, again, just building a nice technical build of higher lows here, right? Still got a ways to go to reach those previous resistance ranges of the past and prior cycles. You can take a look at the BTC pairings, and you can see very clearly here that we're in the lower range. We haven't made those kind of big exponential moves that we've seen in the past on some of these plays. You also see it with plays like XRP. Now, most of you know that I endlessly tell you to avoid XRP when it comes to focusing on it as a long-term trade. But as a short-term trade, I'm not opposed to getting into something like XRP when I've seen historically, in this case, over 10 years, crazy to say that, 10 years of pricing data almost since back here in April of 2014, where essentially if I go long here, I've got upward momentum against Bitcoin. Now, as you can see, right, we didn't get that last cycle in 2021 as dramatically as before, but you still had an opportunity here between March, right, in this case, basically about a month's worth of price action here by the mid-range of March. You can see here a really nice opportunity to almost triple your position against Bitcoin. So my point here is that while it's not favorable to hold these plays, you don't want to hold them as they're just dragging down and they're not showing any resilience. When you're in this kind of range here, this is where accumulation tends to happen. And it's not always about picking the absolute bottom. It's about getting into your position, sticking to your plan, and making sure that, again, you have your checks and balances set in place. You have some ranges in which maybe you'll be taking profits to some degree. But so long as you're getting those initial signs of momentum, I think we've gotten that here over the last few days, some really nice green movement here in price, right? Once we really start to break out here, then you're going to start kicking in that momentum. So I love momentum trades here. XRP, Stellar Lumens, or XLM, which we took a look at. These, I think, are very much plays that have that ability to make a huge comeback here within a very short period of time. I'm not a huge fundamental fan of them, but in the same way that I don't think meme coins have any strong fundamentals, there can also be great trades out there that may have incredibly weak fundamentals. I know some people like XRP. I know some people like Stellar Lumens. Irrespective, this isn't so much an analysis of fundamentals, it's an analysis on momentum here. So again, just keep that in mind here when you're going across the board on altcoins. Look for sectors that haven't made substantial moves. As you get closer and closer to the altcoin cycle, the more and more that tide lifts all other boats with it, you're going to start getting some really great opportunities in the kind of lower runner plays that have been kind of slower, that aren't the center stage. And the meme coins, while they may continue to climb up in dollar terms, they may be starting to slow down and not be the top performers. So just keep that in mind. Again, you can still have some meme coin allocation. I'm not here to say that they can't continue climbing, but for me, that's my focal point. I like to focus on getting plays that have that build of momentum, but it's in the earlier stages where you can really still capitalize on a lot of the move. And as we get others' dominance here, continue to tick up. We're not back to where we were back in December, right? But historically speaking, we can go a lot higher here. We've seen throughout history that others' dominance, these are plays excluding the top 10 in the crypto market, can definitely go higher here. Back in January 2022, we were up near 20%. And generally throughout history, this is a slowing, albeit still increasing trend to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go even higher than that after Bitcoin has really made the finality of its move with the ETF flows. Eventually, we will get to a point where I think those ETF flows slow down, where price gets a little too overheated, and that's where a lot of capital and rotation can happen into the altcoin sector, where a lot of these plays can really start to make substantial moves, and it starts to feel like 2017 or 2021 all over again. So that for me is, again, the opportunity where even if you've been in cash, you can start to step in and make some really phenomenal returns, and ideally way outpace what Bitcoin did during the cycle if you play your cards right. So again, just keep that in mind here, guys. I think these are some really good things to bear in mind when it comes to altcoins. Again, I come back here to talking about Render and stack some of those fundamental plays. As you all probably saw in the prior video, Render was one of our top altcoin videos. It wasn't the most recent video, but one of the more recent ones. We did a top 3 altcoin video for the month of March. And one of the things we cited here is that, look, we like Render, but on its BTC pair, it's kind of overextended here. And again, that's continued to fade down here against Bitcoin, which is really good here. So that means we have an opportunity to potentially get in around the 100-day moving average, as we've seen back here, for a much more favorable entry versus where it was back the other day. We can take a look at the USDT chart, right? Potentially nice cool down here towards the 21-day, maybe a little bit dip below, similar to what we had back here, and then we can start to accelerate higher. I don't know if you'll get this all the way down to the 100-day in its dollar terms, but you kind of get the gist here. We want to look at those BTC pairs. We want to see if it's holding up against Bitcoin and giving us the cues that it can climb higher. Stacks is another great example. I think, again, Stacks has that ability to really run up here. It has all the right confirmations on the weekly time frame, but we can see very clearly here that there's a little bit of distribution potential fade here. Every time we get up at this range of 5,600 sats, someone's unloading. and you can see the volume candles are substantial. So I want to see this come down here into the moving averages, give us that opportunity where we can, for example, maybe get an entry well below the 21-day, maybe bouncing even off the 100 days. That's continuing to rise. We'll see how it plays out. I like these plays. These are the more longer term ones I would want to run up in through an altcoin cycle if you wanted to keep it simple. But I think that there are going to be some good opportunities in the near term where there is going to be much more momentum. In the short term, we can make some great returns there and hopefully cycle it back into some of the other plays in the market that are more long term. But again, just take a look across the board at the market, guys. Meme coins, it's great to see that they had this kind of run up here. You see them all moving much in tandem here alongside Dogecoin, but they can only move so high. And you don't want to get caught, trying to hopefully bet that some of these are going to go as high as Dogecoin. Dogecoin has been around for more than a decade in the crypto space. And the more you dilute and have so many different types of meme coins in the market, it's going to be more difficult to get it to that extent where Dogecoin is. Dogecoin is a legacy play. It's been around for a long time. It takes a long time to build that kind of network effect. Many of these plays are already in the multi-billion-dollar range for their market cap. So just keep that in mind here. They definitely can continue to climb. I'm not saying that, but it's about outpacing Bitcoin from here on out and being the best performers. If you guys are, again, interested in kind of actively trading in the market or going into particular altcoin narratives, the big thing I would let you guys know about is that even though we're trying to make as much money here in 2024, if you had traded in 2023 and you made some great returns that you locked in before the end of the year, you guys definitely need to start preparing for tax season. CoinLedger is one of our partners here on the channel. They'll make it incredibly easy for you for something that is so burdensome as taxes. What's great about CoinLedger is that you can essentially plug in all your exchanges, all your wallets. You don't give any access to your wallet or exchanges, but essentially view access. And from there, you can get a 360-degree view of what you made in 2023 and easily generate your tax forms for a very low and affordable cost. And what's great is once you've got it all set up, so long as you don't use new exchanges or wallets, then in that case, the next year's taxes will be a breeze. You already have everything plugged in, generate your tax forms, everything's done automatically for you. So again, it's really easy to onboard here. And depending on your transaction volume, the prices are incredibly fair. If you're someone like myself who isn't doing a million different trades, then you may use the hobbyist or investor tier here in this case, which will be perfectly fine for you. But if you're more of an active trader as well, I definitely recommend using something like the pro version here, because at the end of the day, trying to do all this manually, if you're using centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, yield farming protocols, or interest-bearing protocols in DeFi, trading in FTs, you name it, is going to be impossible to track all your tax activities. So I definitely recommend checking them out. Not to mention they have free portfolio tracking, so you can even just use the platform to track your portfolio. Great support, and beyond that as well, they're also an official TurboTax partner. So if you already use TurboTax, you can plug it straight in. I definitely recommend you guys check them out down below in the description. You get 10% off if you use my link down below. But that's it for you here in regards to CoinLedger. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the macro. Now, the big thing here, again, I want to emphasize, guys, is that we're not losing the picture here on the macro. I want to make that very clear. I try to strike a balance. Where I've gone on wrong in the past when I'm doing my analysis on markets is sometimes I get too one-sided on like what's going on in crypto, what's going on in the macro, and I really tried to kind of refine that. And I want to make sure, again, that we always focus in on both elements here, because at the end of the day, macro, when it comes to the performance of equities, is still looking strong. If we take a look here, NASDAQ just broke to new highs here versus its November 2021 highs. Again, nice move, 1.14%, mainly led by the continued optimism around AI and likely some of the developments around Sora and some of the other AI models that continue, other AI advancements that continue to come out, and that perceived demand for GPUs going into the next year or two. But if we take a look here, it's not just in tech. VTI here, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, S&P 500 continuing to climb up here, breaking its prior highs back in January 2022, climbing all the way to 5,100 points, and looking very much like, if we're just taking a look here at history in accordance to the S&P 500, looking at the kind of long-term channel since back in 1929, the logarithmic chart, this would probably point us towards setting in a relative high versus those prior levels at around 5,500 points to potentially 5,600 points sometime here in the year 2024. A really big upset. Not what a lot of people expected, but if we take a look at the chart here, guys, that's what it's kind of pointing towards for me. That's what it looks like. And I think, again, until we start to see a significant change, more particularly in one of the few metrics that I think a lot of people are not going to be watching, but it is going to be incredibly relevant to keep an eye on, is the US 10-year minus the 2-year yield, right? We are not seeing significant declines. We're still setting at higher lows here, but we are far away from the point in which we would be fearing a recession. I think it's a couple months out in this case, at least according to the yield curve. We're not seeing it adjust just yet. So at the time being, there's still room to risk, to speculate in the market, to make trades, and we're going to take upon those opportunities when we see fit in the market. So again, I keep that in mind there in the macro. There's another important point, which is that for oil, we're starting to see oil in this case continue to remain elevated above the 200-week. So I don't think you're going to be seeing as much interest rate cuts as people are expecting, as oil might break out here against this descending line of resistance and really start to accelerate. But it's going to really depend how the year closes out. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys have a fantastic day wherever you are. If you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like. If you guys want to figure out what plays we're going to be trading in the market and what levels we're looking to potentially enter and what percentage allocation, then you guys can check out the dashboard down below in the description. We just dropped a new report this month talking a little bit about our current thoughts around the market, some of the altcoin positions that we're watching, and a whole range of other good stuff on the macrosphere. But I hope you guys have a fantastic Monday wherever you are, and I'll see you guys right back here on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, everyone.